popular grading company CGC has made some recent changes to their grading scale that has gotten card collectors losing their minds. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. You're watching the channel Dr. Applesauce 2. My name is Will. It's another beautiful day here in Texas. I hope you guys know that I love you, God loves you, and that there is an awesome plan for your life. Recently, CGC made some announcements that they were making some big changes to their grading scale. To keep things really simple, basically everything that was graded a Gem Mint 9.5 previously is going to be turned into a Gem Mint 10, and then now graded 9.5s are going to be Mint 9.5s, and they're going to be adding a new kind of black label, gold label, pristine 10 style of card. And they announced the ability for people to send in their current Gem Mint 9.5 graded cards for a $5 fee per card, and they will be put in the new Gem Mint 10 holdered labels. I'll be right up front, I'll be honest and let you know, I'm kind of on the fence. I don't really care thinking that it's good or bad. It just, to me, it is what it is. But on the whole, this whole situation, I'm kind of neutral on it. And just to let you know, I did make a video about this showing everybody how to resubmit their 9.5s to CGC to get the new 10s. Made that video the other day. You can go find it. I'll link it down in the description if that's something that you're interested in. But what I find really interesting is this entire process that CGC has done has caused the Pokemon community to lose their collective minds, in my opinion. I have seen some people so upset, some crazy stuff happening, and people trying to sell current 9.5s for pristine 10 values. You guys, drop me a comment down below. Let me know if you've noticed any of this, if you've seen anything crazy happening, if you think this is a good idea or a bad idea. I'd love to know your comments about it down in the comment section below. After I made that YouTube video, I went to YouTube to look at other YouTube videos, and the vast majority of YouTube videos seem to be pushing on the negative side, that basically CGC is dead. CGC has killed themselves. This is the end of CGC. And I have to say, like I said, I'm kind of neutral on this whole thing. I don't really think it's bad or good. It's just a change, but I don't think this means CGC is dead. I think it means CGC is pivoting. I think it means CGC realized they were way too harsh on their grading scale, and they are pivoting a little bit. What I think a lot of people are upset about are the subgrades being gone, and I can understand that people, I've seen videos where people have like hundreds of 9.5s, and it would literally cost them thousands of dollars to send all these back in and get reholdered. So I can understand frustration that people have, but at the same time, I have to say I can understand and appreciate CGC seeing this and acknowledging, holy cow, our grading was way too strict. We have to pivot and we have to adjust. And what I'm seeing them doing here is I'm seeing them basically try and get right in the middle of what Beckett does and what PSA does. Now, we see Beckett with a very strict grading scale where it's very hard to get the coveted black label, right? It's very hard to get that black label. You can still have subgrades. And then we see PSA. PSA is very lenient on their grading. I mean, you can't argue that PSA is lenient on their grading. When the common accepted vernacular is send your cards to PSA for easy 10s, there's no arguing that PSA is lenient on their grading, and PSA does not use subgrades. So what I see CGC doing here is trying to be right in the middle of PSA and Beckett, offering a nice little label that's a little bit higher than everything else, but also kind of not being so strict and making it absolutely impossible to get a 10. But if you go onto CGC's Instagram and stuff, you can look at comments, and I'd say a lot of the comments are negative. A lot of people seem to be upset about this, and there are positive comments, and generally people don't comment on things unless they're incredibly supportive or incredibly unsupportive of something. So we're seeing the extremes, right? The vast majority of people are kind of right in the middle, and what's going to happen long term is after 3, 4, 5 years, this is just going to be the way it is, and I think it's going to be fine. A lot of people are looking at the immediate. People aren't looking at the long term, 5 to 10 years down the line, and that's what CGC is looking at and making these changes on. But here's something interesting that I want to talk about. Let's look at this new grading scale, okay? If you look at this new grading scale, basically, here's the biggest change. The biggest change is previous cards that were graded a Gem Mint 9.5 are going to now be a Gem Mint 10. So here's the interesting thing. It's still a Gem Mint card. It's still Gem Mint. It's just going to be a Gem Mint 10 instead of a Gem Mint 9.5. Now as well, they're going to have this new black kind of gold label pristine 10 that all pristines and perfects that would have been graded a pristine or perfect would now be a pristine 10. Now here's the interesting thing. If you have a perfect 10, the perfect 10s are going to be discontinued. So your perfect 10 CGC will stay a CGC perfect 10 in the database and in the pop report. So that is going to be incredibly valuable in the future, is having CGC perfect 10s. I would not reholder those, but they will no longer be giving CGC perfect 10s. Everything beside that, they're going to be implementing a new 9.5, which instead of gem mint is going to be a 9.5 mint, and then mint 9 and everything below is going to stay the same as it always has been. So here's the thing. What we see right here is essentially exactly what PSA does. It's almost exactly what PSA is doing. PSA has a gem mint 10, essentially. If PSA is the gold standard of grading, which if you grade with PSA, that's fine. It's up to you what you want to grade with. But if it's the gold standard of grading, if CGC is adopting a similar gem mint 10 scale and a mint 9.5 scale, why is that such a horrible thing? And I can understand the argument this is a bad thing because people appreciated how strict CGC grading was and they're changing that. I can understand that argument. But I believe that in the long run, in years to come, in 3 to 5 to 10 years, that this is actually going to help more, because I am 100% on board with the fact that I think CGC was way too hard to get a 10, and I think a lot of people stopped grading with CGC because of that. I've seen some crazy stuff about people trying to sell their current 9.5s for insane value. If you're looking for a great place to pre-order some new English sets, like some Obsidian Flame or some Pokemon 151 at great prices, go check out InvasionToys.com, use code Applesauce, and you'll save 10% on your order. They're a store you can very well trust, and you can get 10% off of their prices that are already good with my code Applesauce. And if you need somewhere trustworthy to order Japanese or even Korean cards or just great Pokemon cards in different languages, you gotta check out PokeNE. If you use code Applesauce over there, you get a free booster pack with your order, and they regularly will have like Korean EV Heroes booster boxes for 50 bucks and all kinds of great deals over there. Those are two stores I highly recommend. So one of the interesting things that I've been noticing, and this is where I think people are absolutely losing their minds with this whole CGC thing. There are people obviously going around wanting to buy up 9.5 so they can regrade them for 10s. I understand that. I don't think there's going to be a lot of profits to be had with that. In my personal opinion, I think 9.5s and 10s are going to stay around the same value. The price might go up a little bit on 10s, but the reason I personally submitted my 9.5s to get reholdered as 10s is because anything that's a CGC 9.5 is going to be updated in the pop report system as a 10. So I wanted all of my stuff, if it was a 10, I wanted it to say 10. I want it to match the slab what the pop report says. So that's why I sent mine in to be reslabbed. But there are people trying to buy up 9.5s thinking that there's going to be a big boom or a lot of profit to be had. That may or may not be the case. I'm not sure. Pristine 10s will be where the huge profits are. That'll be what you're shooting for, is that pristine 10. But the interesting thing about all these people that are going around trying to buy up 9.5s, you have so many people upset about this. You have so many people that are not in support of this, yet you have so many people that are now refusing to sell their 9.5s at 9.5 comps. They're trying to sell them at pristine 10 comps under this diluted opinion that, well, it's a gem mint 10 now, so I'm going to sell it for a gem mint 10 price. But here's the thing that a lot of people that are thinking about that are forgetting. If you are going to have it be a 10, if you're going to have it be a gem mint 10 with that label on it, you have to take and you have to spend $5 to send that card back in and get reholdered. After September, it's going to be $10. That 50% discount is going to go away. And then the general turnaround time for the reholdering process for CGC is 30 days. This whole thing happening is probably going to make that turnaround time take a lot longer. Here's the big crux of it that I think all these people that are trying to sell their 9.5s for 10 prices are forgetting and not really understanding, is that $5 fee, the shipping to send the card, and that month to 2 month wait time, there is a value associated with that. There is a monetary value associated with that process. So the person who's taking the time to do that process, that has a value. You can't just sell a 9.5 card, expect to get a pristine 10 price for it, and then not do the work yourself to resubmit it. Of people that are wanting to sell their 9.5s at a 10 value without doing the work and taking the time of having money tied up and your card's gone for 1 or 2 months and still wanting to capitalize on that. And that's what I think is interesting about this whole process. We have so many people in the Pokemon card community that are so upset about this process, but still want to capitalize on this process, still want to make all of that money off of this process. It's very strange to me. So I think that it's unacceptable to want to sell your 9.5s for a 10 value because you didn't go through the work of sending that card back, of, you know, spending $5 to send it to get reholdered and waiting potentially 1 or 2 months, who knows how long it's going to take to get that card back. You can't expect to get that value without going through that process. But on the flip side, I can understand why CGC is doing this, and I think in the long run, it'll probably be fine. Like I said, I'm neutral. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. It is what it is, and I set my cards off because I want my cards to match on the slabs what the actual pop report is. So in the long run, I do think this isn't going to hurt CGC. I honestly think it'll make people send to CGC more often if there's an actual realistic opportunity to get a 10, and then there's that little tier above that you can get a pristine, just like Beckett. Okay, it's not terribly hard to get a Beckett gold label 10. It is difficult, but it's not terribly hard. But it is very hard to get a Beckett black label. I think it's going to be very similar to what's going to happen with CGC. It's going to be a lot more difficult to get that next tier above. People are losing their minds trying to sell 9.5s for 10 values. People are going around trying to buy up 9.5s thinking they're going to get a whole bunch of money from it, which I think is also not exactly true. It's a crazy situation. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Let me know if you enjoyed this video or you think you learned something from it. Give me a thumbs up on the video. It's free for you to do, and it really does help the video. And like I always say, my friends, find somebody to love and serve today. Be the change you want to see in the world. See you next time.